Hi, everyone, and welcome to Cat Chat Live. My name is Nancy Stevens, and today's topic I suspect is going to be a popular one. It is financing UK, financing life. And so I'm glad that you will get a chance to hear directly from some of my colleagues in the offices of Student Financial Aid and Scholarships, Student Account Services, and Financial Wellness. They have a lot of good information that they have prepared for you today to answer a lot of the questions that you may have on this important topic. Before I hand things over to them, as always, I'll run through some of our housekeeping items, particularly if this is one of the first Cat Chat Lives you're viewing. Because we have so many slides today, we would ask that you hold your questions until the designated Q&A time because we anticipate that we'll address many of the common questions that you may have on your minds. You'll use the Zoom Q&A feature at the designated time to communicate with us. You can always check the chat for important links, dates, and contact information that my colleague Kate will be dropping in there for you. After we review all of the slides, we'll open things up and take as many questions as we can between now and 1 p.m. We'll try to limit these to around an hour because we know you're busy folks. If you're not able to stay for the entirety of today's webinar, it is being recorded and will be posted in the Cat Chat family community later today. If you have any questions after the fact or about topics that don't pertain to finances, you can always email parents@uky.edu and our team will get back to you with some additional information at our earliest convenience. And lastly, we hope that you will take a moment after the webinar is over to fill out our brief survey asking you a few questions about your experience with the webinar series and what questions you still have about your UK students' experience. Your feedback is important to us. We have a few more Cat Chat Lives left in our summer series. On Monday, we'll be talking to the Office of Student Conduct about all of the ways you can support your students in navigating conflicts that could come up in relationships that they have with roommates, classmates, friends, and so on. It's an important topic and one I think many families don't really have top of mind as they're preparing to launch their student into college. I'm excited to announce that we've added a bonus Tuesday Cat Chat Live next week. This is hot off the presses, but we've been seeing an influx of questions from families about iPads and technology and AI and all sorts of things like that. And so I'm excited that some of my colleagues have been willing to make themselves available on Tuesday to talk about all things technology. You'll note on the screen that webinar is going to be at 11 a.m. As opposed to our typical noon start time. And I have just added the registration link for that webinar into the Cat Chat family community this morning. A week from today, we'll be talking to an integrated success coach who has a lot of good academic tips to share with your Wildcat. And then a more recent addition to our Cat Chat Live series, Vice President for Student Success, Kirsten Turner, wanted to chat with families on the first day of class and offer some reassurances and answer questions that you may have about the Office for Student Success and how UK supports our students. Registration links for all of these can be found in the Cat Chat family community. And if you're not able to join us live, those recordings will be there after the fact as well. As always, I like to put in my plug for the Cat Chat family community and all the ways that UK uses it to get information that parents and families are looking for into your hands in one place. So I hope that you've found that to be helpful. I hope you've taken some time to explore through it, discover communities, look at the dates that are in our calendar. I hope you've shared some information that you've seen there with your Wildcat, and I hope you've let other members of your student support system know that this is a place that they can get information from UK as well. So those are my housekeeping items, and I know we have a lot of good content to get to. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to our first presenter. Brian from Student Financial Aid and Scholarships is taking a break from monitoring those phone lines and email lines and supporting his amazing team of staff to walk you through Student Financial Aid and Scholarships. Brian, take it away.
Thank you, Nancy. Good afternoon, everybody. I've got several slides I'm going to go through. Before I get started, I've been here UK, just a little bit about myself. I've been here UK just under 2 years. I've been in financial aid for 36 years. And I can tell you August for any financial aid office is an extremely busy time. Please be patient with us. We are responding to every email and every phone message we get. We're answering 300 to 400 calls a day, and we're responding to as many as we can on a live basis. But again, please email us, and I'll say this many times through the presentation. Email your counselor, and we will be back in touch with you as soon as we possibly can. But I'm going to go through some slides, and let's just jump right into the slides, Brandon. So this is our website, and I hit some information here. If you need help, if you haven't completed the FAFSA, there's still time to complete the 2026-27 FAFSA form if you haven't already done so. And applying for aid there, you can find that information. All of our cost information you'll find there for any program at UK, from undergraduate to graduate to professional. But I'm sure you guys are mostly concerned with the undergraduate cost there, so you'll see that as well. Under the scholarships there, most of our scholarships for the year have been awarded, but we still encourage students to look at that and update their information from time to time, and check back with if they haven't created a Scholarship Universe website, or an account on Scholarship Universe, and you can find that on our scholarships website. Please have them do so. It's not too late, and for if not their first year, for maybe their second, third, or fourth year, they can find additional scholarships there. And then finally, a directory. That's where you'll find the counselor, your students' counselors by last name. We have our counselors assigned by last names, and so check that out as well. That's very good information for you to find out who to contact there. So that's kind of our website overall. Again, I mentioned if you haven't filled out the free application for federal student aid, it is not too late. FAFSA.gov is a website, and make sure you're filling out the 2026-27 FAFSA form. That's the only one that should be out there right now. But come October, we'll see the 27-28 FAFSA opening up. So, but make sure you're filling out that 26-27 FAFSA if you haven't already done so. Our federal school code is 00 to 1989. So that information is helpful there as well. So go on to so this is a very important, and I know it's got a lot of clicks here, but this is how you get to your students, or have your student get into their MyUK portal, and how they get to the financial aid information. Because I know a lot of that information, that's what you're looking for right now. You have the student log into their MyUK portal. They go to the menu, and over on the far right-hand column, you'll find financials and meal plan. And you see financial aid as an option there. You click on financial aid. Then you're going to click view and accept. That view and accept tab to review the offers, the financial aid that is there and everything. And all the financial aid that they've been packaged should be there. If there's something missing, or you see, gosh, maybe the aid's not there yet. You might be missing information, and you want to make sure you view your checklist in financial aid to make sure nothing is outstanding in terms of the information that's available out there. But if you see the awards, you click view and accept to review offers. You read the terms and conditions before accepting aid offers, and then you can always go back to the view to accept and decline offers there. And you that's kind of the process of getting through the students' MyUK portal and finding financial aid information and everything. So that's very important. Next slide. So what do you owe at UK? By now, you see students and should have the billing statement, the direct bill, university bill charges, our costs. If they're on campus, that'll also include, you got tuition and fees, but you'll also include housing and meals. Many times they subtract your pending financial aid for the semester and have the balance due there on the statement of account there, and you'll see that amount due for the semester. And we'll talk more about payment options and things of that nature if there's still a balance there. I'm going to talk about a few before I pass it over to student account services. But if there is a balance due, next slide. One thing you want to look at is, and we'll talk about the plus one in a minute, but a couple important pieces I want to mention is the One Big Beautiful Bill that went into effect July 1st, 2026. And I'll talk about the two primary areas that it's impacting students, as well as parents. If parents, you're thinking about a parent loan, or if you applied for a parent loan, I'll talk about some of those changes there in one of the next slides. But again, we have a website that talks all about the changes for the One Big Beautiful Bill. Two biggest changes are the Parent Plus loan, and I'll talk about the amounts in a minute. And then students if students do not complete full-time enrollment each semester, their loans could be impacted for the next semester. And so If the student is dropping below full-time at any time throughout the semester, we would encourage them to contact if they're using federal student loans, we would encourage them to contact their financial aid counselor before making any changes so we can review and explain all the changes. Those are the two biggest changes that I think undergraduate students are going to see. And I'll talk a little bit more about the Parent Plus loan on one of the following slides. That Parent Plus loan. It's going to be a loan in the parent's name, and you actually apply at studentaid.gov if you haven't already done so. We've been receiving Plus loan applications in, and we actually certify them once we receive them, and then they show on the statement of account once that's done. So there is a process there. Just you applying for it is the initial piece, but then it takes us about a week or two to actually get the Plus loan in on the student account to show as anticipated financial aid. The alternative private loan options. This would be in the parent's name or student's name. We have a chart that I'm going to show you in just a minute, but basically you want to look at what's best option for you. I talked with a lot of families at the BB&Os this summer, and I think you all just need to make the best decisions about what loan program works best for you and your family. And then if you don't want to look at the loan options, there is a payment plan, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that in the student account services section of this presentation. Next slide. I wanted to show you this comparison chart between the Parent Plus loan and the private student loans. So let's just walk down the Parent Plus loan side of the worksheet here, and you can see that it is in the parent's name. It's a fixed interest rate of 9.07 for the 2026-27 academic year. There is also an origination fee that the federal government takes out. So let's say you borrow $20,000, you're going to see less 4.288% because that's deducted for origination fees to the federal government and everything. This is the change. The borrowing limits is the change that we're seeing for new borrowers starting with the 26-27 academic year. It's capped at $20,000, and the maximum that both parents, if it's like say mom and dad, can borrow for that student, it's per student is $65,000. Well, if you're thinking about taking a plus loan for 4 years, that math doesn't add up. And again, these are not what we determine. These are set by the federal government, okay? What I told families is think about $16,250. That's, if you split that over 4 years, that equals $65,000. So if you're thinking about an amount you want to borrow there, it might be that $16,250 if you think you're going to take the Parent Plus loan each year for the 4 years. The credit requirements, it requires no adverse credit. That's with the Parent Plus loan, okay? And that's many times the benefit sometimes, because you can see, I'll talk about the private loans in a minute, but it's different for private alternative loans. And then repayment periods, typically 10 to 25 years. You have the option to defer while a student is in school and the 6-month post-enrollment. Now, it does accrue interest. I want to make sure that everybody's clear. It does accrue interest from day one at that 9% interest, but you don't have to make any payments until after the student graduates and drops below half time. So as long as the student is enrolled at least half time, those loans will be deferred. Now let's talk about the private loans here real quick. So some of the private loan benefits. It is a fixed or variable rate. It's going to be based on your application, the student's application, or the parent decides to do it. I will say with regards to the option for the student, most dependent students will need a cosigner for a private alternative loan. So parents, you may need to cosign for that, but we've seen interest rates though, if you have an excellent credit, we've seen interest rates as low as 2 and 3% on the private education loans and some of them, but it all depends on the credit worthiness and determining that eligibility. That really the lenders set that interest rate, but the origination fee is zero. Nothing is taken out. So whatever you borrow, half of that will disperse in the fall, half of it will disperse in the spring. And in both of these loan programs, I would encourage you to apply for the entire year, applying from August 2026 through May of 2027. Did you do it one time, you're done, half of it's going to disperse in the fall. You can get an idea what your balance is by looking at your billing statement now. And then spring should be very, very similar in terms of the costs there and everything. The borrowing limits, it's not like the Plus loan. You can borrow up to the total cost of attendance minus any other financial aid eligibility. So that's what we're looking at when we certify loans. It does require good credit and income. And again, for students, it may require, most situations will require a cosigner for dependent students. And then typically, the repayment period is 5 to 20 years. There is also a deferment that you can defer until after the student completes their degree. And there's also a 6-month post-enrollment, but it can vary by lender, so make sure you understand those stipulations. And by the way, if you're going to a lender to kind of shop around and everything, you can get like pre-qualified, and there's no hit on your credit to see what kind of interest rate you might see with one of these lenders. And if you go to our website under types of aid and the loans, you'll see a list of historical lenders we've used that our students in the last year, if all these lenders had more than 10 students borrowing from these lenders on our lender list. It's a historical list. We're not recommending one lender over another. We're just providing, the information we've seen here at UK, where our students are borrowing and everything. So hopefully that'll give you some good information in terms of this worksheet. Next slide. If your student or you are using the federal direct loan, so the student has, and when we package, when we have their awards available, you'll see the federal direct, possibly the federal direct subsidized loan or the federal direct unsubsidized loan for the students. And then the parent loan would be that Parent Plus loan. Those are all federal direct loan programs. Before those loans can disperse with the student, they must complete a master promissory note and entrance counseling. That needs to be done at studentaid.gov. And if we have a student that's accepted their loans, we're going to put a checklist out there for students to make sure they're doing their entrance counseling and master promissory note. But the loans will not disperse until that's completed. So make sure if your student hasn't done that, it takes about 20, 30 minutes to go through both of those. The entrance counseling session is really going over your rights and responsibilities as a borrower. And then the master promissory note, the MPN, is really that's the contract that the student is signing with the U.S. Department of Education, saying they'll pay the loan back and everything. But studentaid.gov is the website there. Next slide. If you have, or if your student has external scholarships, we have to factor any and all scholarships the students receive in their financial aid award package, especially if they're receiving need-based awards. We have under appeals and forms on our website, the outside external scholarship notification form. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Please just complete the form. It's a very intuitive form. You can just follow the instructions there and list any external scholarships that the student is receiving. Many times those scholarships will be made out to the student and possibly the school. Or if it's made out to the student, we still need to have a record of those. So please provide us that information so we can include that in the financial aid award package and everything. We'll send a revised package out with that information. So that's important too. Finally, I think this is my last slide, but if your student hasn't done this, I think they definitely need to visit their My UK portal there and their profile and check the privacy settings is what they want to check there. And basically the privacy settings have two options there. One, students can opt out of directory information such as like their major and courses taken and things of that nature. They can opt out of that if they choose to. They can indicate that. But then the second piece is consent for release of information on education record. Beginning with the first day of school, if a student has not provided a FERPA designee, we cannot speak to them about their financial aid information and things of that nature. So if you call after that point and the student doesn't have a FERPA designee and doesn't have a parent listed, again, we cannot provide and share information. It's a lot like HIPAA, but this is the higher education privacy information. So make sure your student, if they haven't already done so, if they're going to add somebody to, they want somebody else on their record for us to be able to talk to about their finances, they are listed there on the as a FERPA designee. That's very important. So I'll just stress that piece as well. Here's our website, our information, contact information, uky.edu /financial aid. That's our website, our phone number. I know it's really tough right now getting through. I'm sorry we're doing the best we can. Like I said, we've got 9 folks servicing, a large number of students at this time of year. If you don't get through, please email your financial aid counselor. And my recommendation, email one time, and I promise we're going to respond to these, okay, and get back to you as soon as we can. We're working, all of our counselors are here every day, working with families day in and day out. And if you're here in Lexington, please come by. We're in Funkhauser, room 127, and we're open every day from 8 to 4:30. We'd love to have you there. The final piece I'll tell you is our email address, and I don't think I have it on here, but our email is osfas@uky.edu. So that's our general email address. If you can't find a counselor, you have a general question like that, you can use that as well. But I wouldn't go to both. Either email hospice or your student counselor directly. So I think that's the information I have. Let's check the next slide. I think it's going on to student account services, and I think I'm going to pass it off to Ruben. Ruben, take off.
Thanks, Brian. Hello, I'm Ruben with the Student Account Service Office, and I like to say that we're the most popular office on campus and everyone's favorite. But I know everyone doesn't agree with that because we send you the bills for the tuition, housing, dining, whatever it may be for the year. So, what does Student Account Services bill for? We bill for most things on campus, whether it be tuition, housing, dining, and you can make those payments several different ways. You can make those with credit card online if you have access to your students' MyUK, or they can also give you guest access, which we'll talk about here in a second. You can pay with credit cards with a 2.25% service fee, or electronic check with no fee, or a lot of people still do mail checks through snail mail. So we process those daily. We have stacks of mail coming in at the beginning of the semester that takes many people in our office to go through and log, but we do get those posted. As far as what we bill for, like I said, we do bill for housing and dining. Tuition is listed on our website, as well as the charge here in front of you. Hopefully, most of you are aware of how much tuition is, considering school starting right here in the next couple of weeks. We do have a resident and non-resident rate. This is per semester, so your student will be billed by the semester. I know I saw that question here in the chat a few minutes ago, but you are billed for everything by semester, and this is what the current tuition rates are. A lot of questions we get is how much do I owe? How do I pay? What the charges are for, and where is my refund? Hopefully by the end of my presentation, I will answer some of these. Your students do have the access to log on to see how much they owe at this point. We did send out about 36,000 bills here in the last couple of days. Your students are billed to their UK email. We send a PDF attachment, so your student can review that with you. They can also give you guest access so you can actually see the charges. However, you will never actually get a bill from the university. It will go to your student. They are considered adults, so they do call the shots here when it comes to their bill and who sees the bill. Like I said, you can pay online with guest access, and you can pay by credit card or check. Here is where the account statements are attached, or a PDF attachment. So that does go to your student's UK email. This is a sample bill right here. The due date on every bill will be the 22nd of the month. So here at the beginning of August, we sent that out. It is due August 22nd. Any aid that we're aware of, whether that's an internal scholarship or external scholarship or money through FAFSA, will be listed on your bill as estimated aid. Now, like I said, that is what we are aware of. If there's something we're not aware of, it has not been listed on your bill. That doesn't mean you need to call. I would just monitor that from day to day on the portal to see if that has dropped in. The due date is the 22nd, so if you're getting close to that and you're still not seeing something, then you could email or call at that point. Right now is not really the time to do that. Give it a little bit of time to process. Okay, like I spoke about earlier, guest access. Your student can give you guest access so you can log in to look at the account. They can limit what you see, whether it's the full balance, all transactions. They can also give access to anyone they want to see their bill, or maybe someone that's helping pay the bill. So it doesn't have to be just a parent. It can be a guardian, a grandparent, aunt, uncle, or just a friend that wants to help out. But this is what they will do when they give someone guest access, and they will determine how long you have access, whether it is forever or just a month or a semester, whatever it may be. Okay, you do have the option of signing up for an installment payment plan. That is also done in the portal. It is broken up into 4 installments. So for this month, it would be August, September, October, and November. There is a $50 enrollment fee to do this. However, it's usually cheaper than having a late fee each month. The late fee is assessed at the end of the month of 1.25%. So you can do the math there to see if it's cheaper or not, but in most cases it is. When you get the bill in January for the spring semester, you can also sign up for the installment plan. Again, it is for 4 months. If you have summer tuition, it is a 3-month plan there. We do not offer automatic withdrawal, so you will need to log in each month to make that payment. Like I said earlier, your bills are due on the 22nd of the month. There is a late fee of 1.5%. Sorry, I misstated that. It's 1.5% late fee at the end of each month, and payment in full is due before registration. Most students will start registering for the spring semester mid to late October, so the bill will need to be paid in full before they can actually do that. So if you have an outstanding bill or a past due bill, that will need to be paid before that can be lifted. Okay, if you have any questions, this is our phone number to our office. Hopefully I've answered some of the questions you have, and now we'll turn it over to Brandon.
Thank you, Ruben. My name is Brandon Davis. I'm the Student Financial Wellness Coordinator here at UK. Give you a little heads up about what financial wellness is here at UK. Our focus is helping students with managing their money. We talk about that in the ideas of spending, having enough for your day-to-day needs, saving, preparing for emergencies, and investing, providing the opportunity to think about and do some planning for long-term wealth and growth. As you're getting ready for your student to head off and come to Lexington, there's a few things that I would recommend that you talk to your student about if you haven't done so already. And these are likely conversations that you may have to have at some point in the semester, but the earlier you do that, it can really help set a tone and help your student understand the financial impact of college and the planning that needs to go around the money associated with it. First off is your student should understand how the family finances can and will impact their education, whether that's if the family's taking out loans, if they're dipping into some savings, if family's working some extra hours. It's really important that students understand the commitment that the family's making and also that financial work that's being put in by parents, guardians, whomever it may be, to make sure that they're able to attend college. And that also would include if that student is working while they're going to college. Also, it's a good idea to establish who's going to be paying for what. Now, the bills showed up, so hopefully you talked about those tuition and those housing and those meal plans. But what about the other things, the day-to-day pieces, gas for a car, food, entertainment, clothing? These are conversations that needs to be clear if, as a parent, family member, if that's something you're going to provide money for, if the student's completely supposed to utilize money from earnings or gifts or anything along those lines in order for them to be able to make those purchases. The third thing is that what's going to happen if the student runs out of money? Maybe they have saved up all summer, maybe graduation gifts and everything, and they are going to have money that they're going to use for the semester. Hopefully, there's clear plans on this amount of money should last, whether that's to December, whether it's for a couple of months, whether it's to May. And if something happens, if they do run out of money, is that something where they're going to be able to talk to you as a parent? If you're already providing money, how often will you put more money into that account? But it's really important to kind of establish some guardrails if you are providing funds so that the student knows that they need to be very mindful about how they're spending that money, whether it's theirs, yours, or whomever. And last, always important for students to know that if something happens, there's an emergency, a tire goes flat, they get sick or anything like that, what they need to do if they need to access some money to be able to pay for medical bill, car repair, whatever it is. So those are just a few things that we recommend families have conversations about as you're getting ready for college, knowing that there will be some more specific ones that will come along as the semester goes. In financial wellness, there's 4 ways that we'd like to support students in managing their money. Peer coaching, which I'll talk a little bit more about. We do a number of campus outreach activities all year long. We help connect students to campus resources that are directly and indirectly related to their finances and their well-being. And then last, UK Invest, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as I finish up. So we do offer one-on-one coaching sessions. We have a group of students that we call the Money Cats. They are certified peer educators in financial decision making. They will sit down with the student. We do 30-minute sessions. Those can occur in person. Those can also occur on Microsoft Teams. Student can come in with basically any kind of issue that relates to how they're managing their money. Our goal is to make sure that when the student comes for that coaching session, that first and foremost, we understand what the student's experiencing, what they're needing help with. We help them set a goal around what they're wanting to improve on or learn about, build a plan, share resources with the student, and then come back and review with them as they would like to, how things going, if the goal needs to be adjusted, if a new plan needs to be created. All of our coaching sessions are confidential, so the student can come in and share those things. And we know that talking about money is not something that a lot of people enjoy doing, especially with someone that they don't know. But we try to build a space, regardless if it's in person or virtual, where a student feels comfortable, can share as much as they want to. That way our students and our staff can help them to make sure they have a plan where they can grow as an individual and how they manage their money. In order to book those appointments, we have a link on our website, our financial wellness website, where a student can go pick a day and a time that they would like to come in to do one of those sessions. And a student can have as many as they want to. So if they want to have a session, wait a few weeks, come back and talk about progress, or however long that they would like, they certainly are welcome to do that. But like I said, any topic is, as long as it relates to the student's finances, we're glad to talk to them. Showed some on the screen, there's a few of the ones that we typically have students come in and want to learn more about. Financial goal setting is a big one. Budgeting and organization. Now, for a lot of you, if during the orientation this summer, if you walk by the financial wellness table, you probably said something to the effect of, hey, my student could really use this, or they need help with that. And that's what we're here for. We know that sometimes parents can give great advice to students, but they may only pay attention when someone else says it or also chimes in the same way. Budgeting is huge, and especially for students that may have never had to think about managing their money, just not spending as they want to. We'd love to sit down, help them get started on thinking about a budget, if that's something they want to do, or just being mindful of their spending, even if that's not a full-fledged budget. We talk about savings, basic needs, credit cards, debit cards, just understanding debt in itself. For those students living off campus, it's a little bit different because you're paying rent for the most part. We're having to think about that traveling to and from campus, depending on where you live. And then we have a whole bunch of students that are employed while they're also taking classes, some on campus, some off campus, and that balancing of not only the funds, but making sure that balancing of time is also important. So if you're a student at any point in the year, whether it's the first day of classes all the way up to the last day of the spring semester, we're always here. And even during the summer, where students can connect with us, we'd love to talk to them, do some coaching with them to help them improve. Also want to share a resource that's available. iGrad is an online financial literacy platform. Essentially, UK pays for all students to have to be able to access this at no charge. This is a great tool for students that are wanting maybe to do a little self-guided learning about some financial topics. And iGrad has about any topic that relates to finances you could think of. Very basics things like kind of what we've talked about, thinking about how do you pay for school, all the way up to thinking about purchasing a house or the difference in buying and leasing a car, paying back student loans, number of things. So those online modules, little tools and things that they have, great way for a student if they want to just kind of get their feet wet, even maybe before they come into coaching, or when a student visits us for coaching, we always try to show them some of those iGrad resources that could be a great opportunity for them to learn a little bit as the time it would be best for them during the day. Also want to kind of conclude my section of this and talk about UK Invest for students. During the summer, we started a brand new program as part of UK Invest called the Big Blue Start. And we've had a whole bunch of students that are going to be starting in the fall that have been engaged in this program, that have been earning already. And just a reminder that the deadline to complete any activities related to Big Blue Start is August 14th. So just got a little over a week and a couple of days for students to complete that. Now be mindful, the student won't get paid for the money for Big Blue Start until later on into the fall semester, but we do have the record of all of that. But August 14th, deadline for Big Blue Start. may imagine we're getting a number of phone calls and emails where people are asking about how does my student sign up for that Fidelity brokerage account that they're going to need in the fall. Good news is there's nothing that the student or you need to worry about right now. Here within a week or so, probably all the students will get an email that gives them specific directions about how to set up their Fidelity brokerage account. Just be aware that if a student tries to set it up before we provide the link in that email, they'll be able to set up a Fidelity brokerage account, but it won't be connected to UK Invest. The reason that we send out the specific emails because the link that we're providing them as they're setting it up allows UK to put money into that brokerage account, which is different than a brokerage account you would set up just, as an individual. So students just need to watch their email. When that comes out, they can use the link and there'll be support there as well. Even if a student waits until they come to campus, during K Week, we'll be set up at virtually every event, providing support for students, showing them how to sign up if they've got questions. Can't start earning money for the fall UK Invest until classes start. Even if classes have started and students are struggling, we have office hours all throughout campus. We're at different events. We have the opportunity students can come in. So we will make sure that if a student has questions or issues that we're able to address those directly. But promise you that we're going to be sending that email out soon. Students can get those brokerage accounts set up. So on day one of the fall semester, they can start earning that money. Last thing is if you do have questions, something about the UK Invest program, ukinvest@uky.edu is the email to send those to, and our staff will get back with you as soon as possible to make sure we've got those questions answered for you. The Financial Wellness Center is located in the Gatton Student Center, so a space that lots of students are passing through or near pretty much every day. We're on the second floor of the East Wing. Always welcome students to come in, even if they don't have an appointment, if they've got a question, some way that we can provide help, whether that's UK Invest, whether that's financial wellness coaching, connecting to resources, we definitely would love to help. Our email is financialwellness@uky.edu. Our phone number is there. We're here all the time. We'd love to be able to provide support for your student as they begin at UK or any point along the way of their journey here at the University of Kentucky. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Nancy and she can walk us through some questions that we've got.
Thank you all so much for that good information. I know many folks are navigating this process for the first time and are eager to learn all of the things that they don't know yet. We've had some questions that have started coming in, and welcome folks to continue to add to the Q&A, and we'll take as many as we can in the next 20 minutes or so. I'm seeing several questions from folks along the lines like this first one says, my child still has departmental scholarships that he was awarded that haven't hit their account. Should we wait to pay the balance until that is resolved, or what is the expectation there? And I'm seeing a couple of other folks who are expecting to see things that haven't hit yet. So how would you advise them to proceed in this case?
We receive those scholarship lists when departments are making awards. We receive those from the departments themselves. So it's either maybe we haven't received them quite yet, but I would just keep monitoring the account as we get closer. And you might just reach out to the department to see if maybe it's been sent. That might be a thing to have the student reach out to the department because we're trying to get those on as quickly as we can. Once we receive that information from the departments, and then they post to the student's account. So it's all dependent upon when we get that information from the department. And as you get closer there, you might have to make a payment, but then you could always, if you made the payment and the scholarship came in afterwards, you'd get the student would get reimbursed if you paid the additional amount there, or would happen after the fact. But that would be my recommendation.
Thanks, Brian. This next one I think is for you as well. It says, we're awaiting a decision on an appeal form that was filed a couple of weeks ago. What's the anticipated timeline on decisions being made?
We are about, I think we have, I think there were about, I think there's about 15 or so left in the queue, and we're working through those as quickly as we can. Those take about a week, 2 weeks to process. And so just keep an eye out for any emails that one of our staff might respond or might follow up with. As many times when we're doing these appeals, it takes some time to get the correct information. But each one of those are an individual review. And it takes the time, and we're getting through those as quickly as we can. I know that we have staff working on those daily. And I think we're down to about 15 or so in the queue. So we're getting through those best we can.
All right, this next one says, what are the most popular private loans you receive? Is College Avenue and Sally Mae legit? And I know Kate put the link to the private loan or private lender's website in the chat. Any other thoughts on that, Brian?
We really don't recommend one lender over another. We have 12 on our historical list. And that's again, who more than 10 of our students used those lenders last year. We go and review that each year to find a historical list. And so we have to, I think there's 12 lenders there. And you're not limited to those. You may find a lender somewhere else outside of the 12 we have. Those are just the ones that our students have used this past year. And again, it's a historical list, and you might just take a few of those. And you mentioned those names. I think both of those are on our lender list, the historical lender list, but there are many out there. And again, we have 12 on our lender list.
All right. This next one says, if you've been approved for a Parent Plus loan, is there a way to check where it is in the certification process or what amount was approved? Should I wait to make a payment on the 22nd if it hasn't shown up?
We're making every effort to get all those plus loans in before payments are due. So, again, it's a process where we receive files back from the Department of Education once a application is approved. If you requested the maximum amount, I can tell you it'll be $20,000 for the year divided by 2. And keep in mind that it'll be minus the 4.288 origination fee coming out of that. So it'll be a little less than say $10,000 a semester. But those should all be in before the 22nd if you've already applied for it and been approved.
All right. So got a question about installment payment plans. Someone saying they're not seeing the option on their son's account to pay in installments. So where should they be looking or have their student look for that?
It is listed under financial overview on their My UK account. So if you go into financial overview and click, there's a link right there for installment plan, but you can also click make a payment, and there is another option on the next screen from there. Everyone has access to the installment payment plan as long as there's a balance on the account, so it would be showing up. If you don't see it, call our office directly. That's Student Account Services.
All right, that's helpful. Yep, seeing a few more kind of where folks are expecting to see scholarships or aid on their accounts that are not there. So that's where it sounds like they need to reach out and to ask a little bit more. And then one person's asking if there's still time to get the Parent Plus loan.
Yes, there is time to. I mean, they completed today. I mean, like I said, it's the 5th of August. I mean, we're gonna have those in before the 22nd. I can tell you that. If you have an approval out there on the 5th, we'll have that plus loan in the amount on the account before the 22nd.
All right, we've got a couple of questions about work study and if their student can get work study. Asking also about hardship grants. There's a comment about a student's dad who is not filing his taxes, so they won't approve the child for aid. So questions about work study, where would we direct folks?
Work study, we in their award packages, many students were awarded federal work study, and so that was one piece. And we typically, we have many times it's exhaustive, but I can also say that if they don't have federal work study as a part of their financial aid package, they can email their financial aid counselor, and we can look and see if we have any additional eligibility to be able to award federal work study. So that would be a question. If they don't have it in their package, we can check and see. They have to demonstrate need based on the FAFSA results to qualify for that. And we do have a limited amount, and we did award a good number of first-year students their federal work study. But if they do not have it on their award package, and it might not be something we get immediately, but we would evaluate them and see if they might have eligibility for that. So email their financial aid counselor if they have it, if they don't have it in their award package. And they do need to accept that award if they've been awarded that federal work study. That would make sure they accept that award, and then that doesn't automatically guarantee them a job by any means. Then they need to go and search jobs through UK Jobs and student employment, things of that nature, to try to they apply for jobs through that website there and look for student jobs there.
All right. Brady, we've got a couple questions about Big Blue Start, and I know your colleague Marianne did a Cat Chat Live about Big Blue Start earlier in the summer, so I would encourage folks to check out that recording. But quickly, got a question about where do students complete Big Blue Start?
Yeah, they should have all students that are going to be coming in the fall received an email announcing about the Big Blue Start, provided the directions on how to access that. That's living in Canvas, a Canvas shell. So many students before they even come to UK are well versed with using Canvas, so they will be able to locate the Big Blue Start there. Also see the next question there. Looks like what about students that don't have the Fidelity account? Can they still do the summer activities? So let me make sure I explain kind of the difference in these two things. For Big Blue Start, you don't need the Fidelity account set up. And I think I'm already going to answer another question too. The age doesn't matter of the student. So during the summer, between now, basically for the next week and a half, as long as the students come into UK, they don't need a Fidelity account to do those activities for Big Blue Start at all. We're keeping a record of that. And then later in the fall semester, after the student has set it up for the fall, then that money will come in. So there's nothing Fidelity related that a student needs to worry about for Big Blue Start. We'll say that someone had asked about what about if a student is 17? For Big Blue Start, perfectly fine. We'll let you know that in order to open a Fidelity brokerage account, and this is a federal requirement, a student has to be 18. So let's say that your student is going to turn 18 on November 1st. That means from when classes start in the fall until November 1st, they won't have a Fidelity account. They won't be able to participate in any of the fall UK Invest events until November 1st. That's when they can sign up for a brokerage account. That's when they can start doing those activities. So if a student's not 18 yet, that may cut them short, but those students right now during the summer, they can still do all of those activities. Then towards the end of the semester, after the students turned 18 and set up that account, they'll still get that Big Blue Start money. So 18 is a requirement. It's not a UK requirement, it's a federal requirement. So like I said, as long as the student turns 18 in the fall, at some point in the fall, that Big Blue Start money will definitely show up. If your case is a student that's going to turn 18 after January 1st, definitely email ukinvest@uky.edu. Let us know. We'll work on that to make sure the student can hopefully get some money from that as well. But we've got to use the 18 federal guidance. We can't budge on that at all.
That's helpful context, Brandon. Thanks. All right, C1 says, I planned on using a 529 account to pay for tuition and didn't anticipate any financial aid. My student is out of state. Should I apply anyway? So I think, Brian, this is asking about, I think you mentioned it was still an opportunity to apply for the FAFSA or to fill out the FAFSA.
I don't think it hurts to apply. It's a free application, and I would encourage you to just fill it out and see. You never know if you might qualify for something, but I would encourage you to fill it out one time and see if there's any eligibility.
And then I believe that you touched on this earlier, Brian, but Amy's asking if UK may still have some scholarships available to give out for the fall semester.
We've pretty much exhausted our scholarships from, I'm talking, institutional awards and things like that for the academic year, in terms of assistance. But it doesn't hurt to, listen, email your counselor and just ask the question, and we can just take a look just to make sure. But we pretty much have exhausted those funds for the year. But I would, I don't think it hurts to ask, and that's fine to submit that question if they wish.
All right. Jill's asking about Academic Common Market. I guess her student's tuition is still showing the out-of-state rate, but her scholarship's the in-state rate. So any timeline or process related to Academic Common Market we should know about?
Those are updated daily, so there's still plenty of time for that to happen. If you get closer to the 22nd and it hasn't happened, then you could contact the Academic Common Market Department, but there's still plenty of time for that, and we update those daily.
All right, then see one that says, if we set up the payment plan and aid or scholarships change the amount owed, will the payments change? Is there a penalty to pay it once if the rest of the money shows up in the account?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I saw that and I was getting ready to just go ahead and answer it. I would just, if you have already set up the payment plan, it will be adjusted as aid comes in if we haven't already given you estimated credit for that. So it could change your payments. There is no penalty for paying upfront. So if you'll just be out the $50 for the installment payment plan if you've already signed up. So that's all you would be charged. If you haven't already signed up for the installment plan and you are expecting other aid that's not showing up, I would wait closer to the 22nd to actually sign up for the installment plan. That way you're not out the $50.
All right. Lisa says, do we have to do a FAFSA every year? And if so, when do we do that? Are there scholarships available that are for the second year and beyond that should be applied for? And if so, when would those be through specific colleges?
On the FAFSA, if the student is receiving any of the need-based awards or using the federal direct loans each year, yes, a FAFSA is required each year. So that's one piece. In terms of additional scholarships, make sure their information on Scholarship Universe is updated, and it's a combination of both. I would say colleges as well as we look at currently enrolled students as well for scholarships in years 2, 3, and 4.
Dave's asking about tips or tricks that they need for having a college fund send the payment directly to UK.
I don't know any tips or tricks. You just have to contact your college fund directly. Some of those will send a paper check. Some of them will do electronic payments. So it all depends upon your college fund on how they process it. I would just get the paperwork submitted as soon as possible as far as requesting the funds and provide any information that they need.
All right. If a known scholarship has not posted by the 22nd, what should you do? Pay what's owed and anticipate a refund. So I think we had talked about something along these lines earlier, but it might not hurt to reiterate.
If the scholarship hasn't been posted by the 22nd, I will give you a little bit of information that we don't actually apply the late fees until like the 29th of the month. So you still have a little bit of a grace period. That's probably information I shouldn't be sharing, but you do have a little bit of time here in August. So I wouldn't get too fret over it too much until a little closer to the 29th. So you do still have some time.
All right, got another clarification question. Could we clarify when to apply for future scholarships, or is it just to keep checking Scholarship Universe moving forward?
When I talk to students, I always say, when once they're in their college of like their program of study, their major and things of that nature, then really just make sure they understand all the different scholarships. Maybe there's a different application process or something in a specific college, but I think staying on touch, like staying up with their Scholarship Universe account, and we update like their grades and things like that throughout the year. But if there's any other activities they're involved with and things like that, I would update it maybe every semester. Once a semester, just get into the Scholarship Universe and add anything new that you're being involved with and such, and just make sure that students in their individual colleges, most of our colleges use Scholarship Universe, and we're in the process of working with a lot of them to transition. But in the event that they don't use Scholarship Universe, make sure they're working through their individual colleges. I think that's important.
Yeah, and I think for those big institutional deadlines, we're sending reminders to students
We
via
are.
email, and we're making sure that folks are aware of those timelines as best we can.
That's
All
good.
right, we've got a few minutes left, and we've taken care of, it looks like, most of our open questions. So we'll give folks another minute or so to type in if they may be quickly trying to get something else in before we wrap up. But while they're doing that, I would love to give each of our presenters one more opportunity to share anything else that we haven't touched on today, any final tips that this conversation has made you think of. So Brian, I'll pick on you first.
I would just say, make sure if all the anticipated aid is not showing for some reason or another, let us know, and please we'll investigate it. It may take some time to get an answer on some of that. And as Ruben mentioned, closer to the 22nd, pay attention to that and everything. And we're here every day. Again, if you're here on campus, come by and see us. We're here and we see families every day. 8 to 4:30 and would be more than happy. If you're here and you're moving your student in, stop by if there's still any concerns or issues with financial aid or finances. We'd love to help you. We're here to help. And I always tell our staff, and I tell folks when I do my presentations, we can't always say yes to additional money, right? But we're going to find the best option we can for you to financing your education here at UK.
Thanks, Brian. Ruben, how about you? Any final tips or thoughts that this conversation's generated for you?
I'll just say, if you're a first-time parent, we are going to get through this together. We'll do anything we can to help you. I know this is a very stressful time for you and your student, but like Brian said, we'll do anything we can to help you. And if that means just sitting down and calming you down, we have tissue on our desk if you need to cry. We'll do whatever we can to help you. We will get through this together. So just let us know if you need anything, and we'll answer just as fast as we can.
I love that, Ruben. Yeah, Brian was quick on the draw. He had his box of tissues ready to go. So, yeah, I think that's the case down the way in the financial aid office as well. And then, Brandon, how about you? Any final tips?
Yeah, there's lots of research out there that say about 3/4 of students say that they are stressed in some way related to their finances in college. So it's not if they are going to be stressed or are stressed, it's more of a question of when. One of the best things you can do is have those conversations as a family, but also point them towards folks like the Financial Wellness Office and Student Account Services and Financial Aid. As Ruben said, and I will attest to the folks over in Student Account Services and in Financial Aid will try to do everything within their power to do the best they can to do right by the student, as we often say. And so if you've got a question, if you feel like, dang, this may be a stupid question, but I don't know and I'm worried, reach out, because I promise you they are definitely going to take the time and answer it. We don't want students having to worry about getting a late charge or like not getting the aid or anything. We want all of that to be accurate. So letting us know if you're worried about something or if your student's struggling, our job is to be there for students. We put students first in everything that we do. So never hesitate to reach out. But money's going to cause stress at some point while your child is in college, whether either it's to them, to you, or to both. So definitely look for those resources and support and let us provide hopefully some comfort along that way.
That's really great advice from all three of you. We have one more question that has come in. It asks, does the $20,000 cap equate to $10,000 per semester for the Parent Plus loan?
What was that? Can
Does
you
the
repeat that?
$20,000 cap equate to $10,000 per semester for the Parent Plus loan?
That's correct. Yeah, it's 10,000 per semester, 20,000 for the year. Keep in mind though, if you're borrowing 4 years, you'd have $5,000 left that last year if you took 10,000 the first four or 20,000 the first 3 years. So just keep that in mind. I always caution that piece because I hate that for the last year to only have 5,000. But these are the rules and regulations we're working with right now, and we'll work with you the best we can. But yes, 20,000, 10,000 a semester.
Yeah, things are shifting at the federal level, and we're doing our
Mhm.
best to
Yeah.
make sure students and families know what's going on there. And then if you all haven't seen in the Q&A presenters, we've got thanks as a first-time parent. That makes me feel better, and this has been so helpful. Thank you. So appreciate them taking the time to share that. And yeah, I would echo what they have to say. I know it's a busy time for all of your offices, and really appreciate you making time to walk families through this and take their questions. So we're coming up on 1 p.m., so we'll wrap up for the day. But Brian, Ruben, Brandon, thank you so much for the information you presented. Kate, thank you for keeping up with all of the websites and the contact information and the dates in the chat. Families, thanks for making the time to join us for today's Cat Chat Live. We hope we'll see you for one of our remaining topics here in this summer series. And as always, you can always reach out to parents@uky.edu. If you need any help navigating the university, we'll make sure that we get you to the office best able to support you and your student on campus. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, and go Cats. Bye, all.